everybody, and welcome to another episode of the Protagonist Seat.
The most popular podcast in Papua New Guinea.
Number one. I looked it up yesterday, and turns out we're number one in Papua New Guinea. So to all our Papua New Guinean listeners, thank you very much. We love you. We're doing our victory tour next week.
Yep, we'll be there.
We'll be there, and you will be square. Maybe? I don't know.
I don't know much about Papua New Guinea. This is the podcast where we talk about Japanese cartoons.
Oh, you mean anime?
No, just Japanese cartoons.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, we're not talking about anime on this podcast.
All right, good to know. I almost got in the wrong mindset for it.
Yeah, you know what is not an anime? Goblin Slayer.
Goblin Slayer is not an anime.
Yeah.
It is an advanced Japanese cartoon retelling of Dungeons and Dragons campaign.
And what happened in this episode?
They break a thing around a mirror, and then they go home.
The mirror has a portal on top of it, and they all hide under it, and when they make the cave collapse, or the chamber they're in, it all goes in the portal. It
does. Well, to put a little context around it, since they blew up that room and shook basically the whole sewers.
Yeah, in the last episode, they fought that beholder-like creature.
Yes, the beholder-like creature.
Yeah.
The large floating eyeball they casted disintegrate dispelled magic with a stare, and was actually not that tough, to be honest.
Yeah.
They took it out pretty quickly. But the goblins show up because this is Goblin Slayer, so of course the goblins show up. And they hold them off for a little bit, long enough for Lizard Man and Priestess, which I thought was very interesting.
Yeah, to try to take the mirror off the wall.
It felt like one of those things where the strength character tries to do something strength-related and rolls like a 2, and then the next character is like the healer or like the dex fighter, and they're like, I'll come help you, and they roll like an 18.
This show has this sort of weird issue where I like watching it, but I don't love it, where every time they fight the goblins, I feel like that's sometimes the least interesting part.
Yeah.
Like, the goblin slaying is not the best part of Goblin Slayer.
It's because there's not really anything new with it. It's just like, and then they shoot arrows and, throw shit at them.
Turns out fighting a level 1 monster the entire time gets old after a bit. Yeah. And everything new that they kind of add to change it up a bit isn't even a goblin, like Goblin Champions. That's an orc.
Yeah, it is literally an orc. And then they fight a beholder. And then they have a swamp dragon, or alligator.
Yeah.
But basically, they bring the whole thing around them using the mirror portal for cover because the rubble goes through the mirror and kills more goblins. So it's fine, I guess.
Yeah, just because you gotta kill those goblins.
He's always gotta kill the goblins.
And then he goes back, and they took care of it, and he talks with Sword Maiden, and she kind of just sort of reveals more of what we kind of already knew, that, she got gobbed by the goblins.
And she was real scareded, but she didn't want to ask anyone for help because, what's the Sword Maiden doing being scared at a goblin? She can handle it. And then she's like, but no, I can't, actually, because I have post-traumatic stress disorder. It's a real mental issue. And then she calls Goblin Slayer.
And then he basically leaves, and he's like, I can't save you, but if you ever need goblins that needs slaying, just call me. And she's like, even in my dreams? He's like, yes, even in your dreams.
Yeah, this scene was a little strange. It was real weird. And it just kind of ends.
Yeah. That was the episode. They basically decided at the end of this one that they're going to go and celebrate and make ice cream, yeah.
Goblin Slayer is like, I'm going to make ice cream, guys.
And they're all excited, and that's it.
Yep. Elf is kind of tsundere about it.
Yeah. And, yeah, she kicked him off the cliff earlier because she was mad at him.
Oh, yeah, because she said no explosions, and he totally used an explosion at one point.
Yeah.
He cheated. But...
Yeah, that's
just kind of it.
That is all I have to say about it. I didn't really... I don't know, I was kind of bored this episode.
Yeah, I even with, like... I guess it was supposed to be a dramatic conversation.
I feel like it's because we were been in the same dungeon for like 3 episodes, and they haven't been that exciting.
Yeah, it's...
Because the first one was the one with the alligator, and the second one was the one where the orc...
Oh, that's right.
Goblin Slayer almost dies, but
they almost
you knew he wasn't going to.
Because he has sex with a virgin, and that literally resurrects him.
Oh, no, wait, now I'm thinking about this. This has been 4 episodes. No wonder I'm sick of this place. Because then after that one, that's the one with the beholder.
Yep, and now this one, where it just kind of ends.
Yeah.
And you know what? That's fine.
I'm ready to move on.
I'm good, G. Let's move on to Rascal does not dream of Bunny Girl Senpai.
He dreams of her sister. Yeah, her sister.
He dreams of her sister.
Because she is in her body.
Yes, they body swapped.
I called that last week.
Yep, you did.
I knew it. I said, it's going to be a body swap thing.
I doubted, and I should not have.
I didn't know they were sisters, though. That is the twist in this one.
Either.
Well, it's right at the beginning of the episode. They're sisters. They just have different moms.
Yep, which is why one is blonde-haired and blue-eyed, and the other is Japanese.
Yeah, I think they're both Japanese. It's just that,
one
weird blonde-haired, blue-eyed Japanese people.
Yeah, one is a blonde-haired, blue-eyed Japanese person. But they try and solve the problem, and Sakuta is like, this is real weird. I gotta hang out with my girlfriend's sister, who's pretending to be my girlfriend, but I just want to hang out with my girlfriend.
And he's kind of already on it for what the problem is.
Yeah.
Where he kind of realizes she compares herself to her sister too much, so that's probably caused a big thing where her puberty syndrome thing is that they switch bodies.
Yep. And at one point, they meet up because they're like, you guys need to hash this out and tell each other you hate each other. And then they do, and that doesn't solve the problem. And Sakuta is just kind of like, well, shit, now I got to think of something else. So he just kind of does his usual information gathering routine where he spends days talking to each.
Yeah, I like it that he's now kind of casual about this because he's seen it so many times before.
Yeah.
He's like, all right, let's see what this one is.
It's been like 4 months, and he's encountered this at least 4 times so far.
And he lived an extra 3 months because he was in a time loop for 3 of those.
Yeah. And his girlfriend has been in 2 of them. This is Mai's second puberty syndrome thing.
And he's done this before with his sister.
Yeah. So he is very experienced. And even at the beginning of the episode, he's like, this again?
Mm-hmm.
Really? We're doing puberty syndrome. We can't just hang out for once.
I like how she gets it too. Like Mai's like, yeah, I don't know. I think I got a good idea why this is happening.
Yeah.
They're not like all shocked like some shows where, whoa, what is going on?
It's happening again?
What?
Instead all the main characters are like, well, shit. Guess we'll just have to try and fix this again.
Mm-hmm.
Ugh. Just live as me for the month, and we'll try and figure it out along the way. And that's what they do. Yeah,
they go and they do because they're both celebrities, and they both go and do each other's things. Like, I forget the younger sister's name, but she goes to all of Mai's photo shoots and her interviews, and Mai, as her sister, who is an idol, basically practices all her dance routines and song numbers and performs them.
Yep. And there is a big concert at the end of the month. Oh, and also, Sakuta sees Mai's sister as Mai she's doing a commercial shoot, and she basically has a panic attack and passes out a little bit.
And I think he
everyone's like,
he
"Whoa."
brings it up to Mai and basically says, "I don't think you realize the kind of weight people put on you."
Yep, she is just starting to realize the sort of pressure that there's a lot of pressure there. Being famous, and I can't remember how this episode ends, to be honest.
Yeah, I don't remember how it ends either. It's kind of...
I think it just kind of does. I think this is another one that just kind of ends.
Yeah. Like, we'll get back to it later.
And...
Oh, I remember how it ends. She says, "Don't look in the cabinet," because he goes to Mai's house, and he's about to look in the cabinet.
Because of course he's going to look in the cabinet, because there's some super relevant plot shit in there. And she knows, like, hey, if I tell you not to do this, you're going to do it. Yeah. So I'm going to tell you not to do this.
Because I know she's smart enough where I'm thinking, yeah, she wanted him to look in there because she wouldn't have even mentioned it because he wouldn't have thought to do so.
She gives him a spare key and is like, hey, don't look in this one specific cabinet in this one specific room. Okay, bye. And then he goes in and just almost immediately is like, hey, you should take a bath. All right, you're in the bath. All right, let's open this fucking cabinet. But we don't know what's in it yet. That's next episode's sneaky, spooky reveal. And I don't know what it is. To be honest, I'm not sure.
And I'm looking forward to it because this is interesting, this plot.
Yeah.
I always think anything with, like, body swapping is kind of cool.
Body swapping is fun.
There was this one anime called Kokoro Connect, which had that as one of its first couple of premises. That was it reminds me of this, not in terms of how the show structure is, but more it was a group of high school kids that had this weird god guy fucking with them, or alien guy fucking with them by having a new thing happen to them every now and then that was basically kind of like puberty syndrome.
Of course.
Yeah. One was body swapping. Another one was like they would regress in age.
Oh. That sounds pretty interesting.
And it would always be at random times, though.
Of course. I mean, it's never going to be at any convenient time.
Yeah.
Otherwise, it's not fun. So I'm looking forward to next episode. I like watching these characters interact with each other. They all feel different.
A thing I want to bring up, I'll bring it up now instead of later, but between this show and Iraduku, a lot of the conversation in this one, like the dialogue between characters, feels more natural.
Yeah.
Whereas in Iraduku, it feels more like it's
a high school drama.
What you'd expect from this kind of show, that just the dialogue they write, like, oh, just that's how high schoolers are.
Yeah. That's actually one thing that I thought of today as I watched this most recent episode of Iraduku. I was like, man, this is a high school drama, isn't it?
Yeah,
it sure is.
I enjoyed it. It was just full on, it's a high school drama.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that's a valid point. I do feel like the dialogue is written a lot better, which is part of why I enjoy listening to and watching these characters just kind of bum around with each other.
They got a good couple banter.
I really like the couple banter between them. I think it's great.
I also like how when my sister is in her body and they go to the beach and stuff, he's being super creepy, like talking about her legs and stuff.
Yeah, he's staring at her legs and he's just like undressing her with his eyes, and she's like, that's creepy, don't look at my sister like that. And he's like, I can't, I have to do it. I like how much of a creeper Sakata is. I think it's great.
Yeah. I like how that's his shtick. Like, he owns it.
Yeah, he is super down with being like, yeah, I'm kind of a creeper, weirdo scumbag, but like, man, I wish you would crush me with those thighs. Just wrap them right around my head and just crush me. He's just like, don't talk about my sister like that. That's weird, especially when I'm with her body.
Yeah, he's a good rascal.
Yep. He also 100% confirms that Mai is in his sister's body when she steps on his foot. And he's like, only Mai would step on my foot like that.
And she's like, that's gross. That's how, like, you immediately know.
That's weird. You guys are weird.
And you know what else was good this week?
Yo.
which was really good.
This episode was fucking good.
This episode was, dare I say, dope.
I would say wicked dope.
Zombieland Saga, we had the Saki episode.
We get the Saki episode. It's got a paragraph-long title, naturally. It's about biker chicks from the 90s in Japan. It's great. I love it.
And it was really good. The whole episode, the French shoo-shoo thing, I don't really remember what they were originally doing, but it doesn't matter because that's not really a relevant plot in this episode.
I don't really think French shoo-shoo was, like, doing anything in this episode.
They were working with old people or something, but again, it didn't matter.
Yeah, it was only a method of introducing them to the biker plot.
Yeah, so Saki and the other girls are practicing at something when they notice these 3 girls on mopeds show up and start trying to pick on Sakura and Lily. And immediately while they're picking on Lily, they're like, how old are you? And Lily's like, I'm eternally in grade school. And they're all like, hey, picking on a grade schooler is kind of, I don't know, that's kind of low.
Yeah.
She's like, okay, never mind about you then. And then she points to Sakura, what are you doing on our turf?
Yeah, and then best girl Saki walks over,
and then immediately
of course
she gives them a look that just scares them completely. Just
My favorite thing about this episode is anytime something like really biker like anytime someone does something intimidating, there's like exclamation points that just boom with that sound effect appear next to her head.
Yeah,
and it's great.
I really liked that. And I noticed in this episode that just any time that there was a scene with, like, there was no scenes with the other girls in this episode for the most part. It was all Saki, where at least with the Lily one, they had some of the others. Like, I felt like the other girls disappeared as soon as the plot rolled in.
Yeah, as soon as the plot came in, it was just like, hey, we all know what you're here to see.
You find out that that girl that was picking on Sakura is actually the daughter of Saki's old best friend when she was alive. Another biker gang member. And it turns out this girl thinks her mom's a wuss, like a total weenie.
Yeah, she's like, Mom, you're such a freaking weenie. You gave up the cool life. You're weak. I don't want to be like you. I'm going to keep the gang going.
And she's getting picked on by this other biker with a way bigger gang.
Yeah, they're like an actual scary biker gang, and at one point there's a girl with a chainsaw. Like, there is actually a biker girl with a chainsaw about to rip these high schoolers apart.
And they end up challenging the weaker gang to a it's weird. It's like they're playing chicken, basically.
With a cliff.
Yeah, with a cliff. They're gonna drive at the cliff, and whoever pulls away first is the loser. And I get the girl's mom finds out she's going to that and freaks out because I guess that is how Saki died.
Yes, on that very same cliff. They played the game and Saki did not. She won. She won as hard as she could possibly win.
She did what's expected of her. I could totally see that's the way she would die. Just keep driving and go right off the cliff.
Yep, and she does that again.
Yeah, so Saki shows up, and before the girl can actually...
Hold on, we gotta rewind it a little bit.
Oh,
because
yeah,
there is a scene with her and Necroducer that's actually pretty good.
I forgot about that.
It's really good. Basically, she gets ready to leave because she hears the bikes, and she's like, damn, that challenge came down real soon. And she is ambushed by Necroducer, who's like, you're not going to do anything violent, are you?
Yeah, he mentions that if she did anything violent, it would be bad for all of Franshushu because...
Idols can't do violence.
Yeah.
And she's like, I'm going to go do idol stuff.
Yeah, I think it was specifically, he's like, what are you going to do? Idol stuff, man.
Yeah, idol stuff, man. And then she leaves. And then she shows up.
That's the best response to any
so
idol
good.
stuff, man.
It is the best. It proves why Saki is best girl.
And then she drives off the cliff again, and everyone thinks she's the most hardcore biker they've ever seen, and she realizes, oh yeah, the thing I was supposed to do when I got here.
Oh yeah, she totally forgets.
And then they do a song number in front of all of them.
And it's fucking great.
Yeah, and they're all dressed like bikers, the entire group.
It's so good.
and the fanboys are there.
Of course. I love this scene specifically because everyone is like, "Oh my God, you're the toughest biker." Okay, first off, just to rewind it a little bit, mom character of biker girl comes on her old bike and is like, "You guys can't do this. People fucking die doing this shit." And she sees Saki and she's like, "Oh my God, Saki?" And Saki gives a really good reply because she's like, "Saki? Who's that?" And it's like, oh, that had to hurt.
Yeah.
Oh, I feel for you. And then she drives off the cliff, etc. Everyone's like, "Oh my God, you're so great."
And then she convinces these girls to drop being a biker gang and get into idols.
Yes, because this is an amazing scene transition simply because she's like, "There's going to be something much better for you guys." And then just it cuts to all of a sudden everyone is in a pavilion with more just like people, more just random civilians.
Yeah.
Everyone looks
and Necroducer
stunned.
was in the van the whole time watching, and he just snaps his fingers like, "Music. Start."
Oh, I love when he does that. It's so good. I love this transition because the stunned expressions on all the characters that were previously there makes me wonder, what happened? What happened in between, like, all right, we're in a parking lot, now we're in a pavilion, and there's just, like, idle equipment set up everywhere. We're ready for a concert.
Yeah, they all look just completely just dazed by what's going on.
There is literally no transition. It just rough cuts, and that makes me believe that all of a sudden they teleported.
Because these are
poor
like
people.
hard gangster girls, and all of a sudden now they're at like a flashy idol show.
Yeah, and best fans are there because of course they are.
And they have a unique song for this episode.
Yes, and it's really
Which
good.
makes me glad, because that means probably everyone's going to get their own unique song for their own episode.
I hope so, because like I've noticed that as we move on to like these fairly well written and performed songs, we're leaving bad idol animation territory.
They weren't doing bad CG either. They were just regularly animated this one.
And it looks good. Like it looks well choreographed, which is an odd statement to say, but
yeah, they weren't moving too much for this song.
Yeah, but it still looks nice.
Yeah.
Everything looks nice.
Their costumes were cool.
Yeah.
That's why I liked seeing the rest of the gang in the biker uniforms.
Yeah. I like how everything sort of changes to it, and it's nice. I like it. This show is so good.
And the episode ends after the song, same as the last one with the Lily song.
Yep. Credits play over biker song.
And then who knows whose episode we're getting next week.
I think I know.
I didn't watch the preview this time, so I don't know.
I did. It's Courtesan.
Oh, right. Actually, I did. I forgot about her, because she's the idol I forget about the most.
Me too, to be honest. She's just kind of there.
Yeah, she has the least going on, which I guess will change next week.
I hope so, because I'm a little curious. Because, like, there's a couple moments where she's like, "I have no idea how any of this works because I'm from, like, Edo-era Japan."
Yeah, she's been rolling with it pretty well.
She takes this in stride.
She's the person that would be most susceptible to future shock.
Yeah. And strangely enough, she isn't.
Because everyone else is at least, like, the oldest other one, I think, is Junko, who's from the 80s.
Correct. And I'm excited for her storyline because this show is real good and has good writers and is a labor of love, so I am fairly confident that it won't fall flat.
Vampires.
Little middle school vampires.
Miss Vampire, who lives in my neighborhood. Not your neighborhood, my neighborhood.
This episode was one that when I saw the title of it last week, I was like, this could go either one of two ways. It could either be more cute middle schoolers, or it could be a School Days-esque twist, where just like at the last minute, freaking Van Helsing comes out.
Spoiler alert, it's the same as what we've always been getting.
It is, but it's still nice to watch.
The A plot is the culture festival at school.
And there's a lot of creepy stuff at the culture festival.
Yeah, for some reason, a lot of that.
They basically, Sophie-chan and Ellie-chan go to the high school culture festival because of course they do.
Yeah, you can't have an episode without them.
Sophie saw it in one of her Japanese animes, so she needs to do it. And she goes, and there's actually kind of a funny scene at the beginning where because vampires are very weak in daylight, and there's a bug flying towards Sophie, and Ellie stands in the way, and she's like, "Don't worry, Sophie, I'll protect you." And it just kind of limply bumps off of her chest, and then she just like collapses like she's dying, and it's just a whole dramatic thing. And I was like, you know what? That's kind of funny.
They basically go and they do a bunch of the cultural festival stuff. They go to see everyone's exhibits where Akari, I guess, is a phantom member of the Arts and Crafts Club, and she makes a doll display, which basically looks like a haunted dollhouse.
Yes, it is a whole classroom filled with creepy dolls and handmade clothing that is lit by candlelight.
And Sophie decides to take a rest while she's there, and everyone mistakes her for a doll.
Yep, and then she wakes up, and everyone's like, "Oh my god, she's talking."
Basically, the jokes that we've seen before, just, with a different group of people to react to it.
Different reactions, same jokes.
And the girl from the occult club is doing some sort of weird, you know that weird music thing that they do?
Yeah,
where it's one person with I don't know what that instrument's called because it's not a guitar.
I believe it is called a shamisen.
Yeah, she's playing the shamisen, telling a scary story and scares out everybody.
The reason I suspect that is because there is an episode of Samurai Champloo where Jun dresses
like,
up.
Oh!
He dresses up as a courtesan and he has a shamisen and pretends to play it. But she does live ghost storytelling, which scares everybody out of the room. Ooh, spooky. And Sophie's like, "I'm glad we missed that."
Oh, and there's a haunted house after too. I've never really got how people are scared of a haunted house in a school set up by other students, and it's only in one classroom.
Yeah, I was a little confused as to how big this classroom is, because like there's at least 2 or 3 rooms to this haunted house, but
I think they put up dividers.
I would hope so, but it seems very large.
Also, I don't know how that could be scary.
It wasn't. Like, it objectively wasn't.
Mm-hmm.
I would say the scariest thing is Ellie, because she's a real vampire and actually drinks people's blood.
Yeah. And that's the A plot. They just kind of they screw around, they do culture festival stuff, and then they go back home. And the B plot is Sophie finds some girl collapsed outside, and they feel bad for her, so they decide to take her in. Turns out she is a vampire hunter.
Yep, she is an amateur vampire hunter.
And she wants to hunt vampires because her great-great-great-great-great-grandfather was bitten by a vampire.
While he was old.
Yeah, and so he got turned into a vampire while he was an old man, and he was really pissed off about it because he's stuck being an old man vampire, meaning he's perpetually having back issues.
Yep, he still has his old man arthritis, and he's all creaky and stuff, and he's real mad about it. So she's like, "Don't worry, I'll kill all those bad vampires," which to me was like, that doesn't seem like a very appropriate thing to say.
Yeah.
Like, "Don't worry, ancestor who's a vampire, I'll kill all the vampires to avenge you being turned into a vampire."
And the rest of the plotline is Sophie and Ellie trying to hide the fact that they are vampires from her.
And it's actually kind of hilarious because Sophie's first line after deciding to pretend to be a human is, "I am totally a human. I love eating white rice and waking up in the morning."
And they're immediately like, "That's the least human thing you could say."
That is the least human thing she's ever said.
And they were trying to pass off as humans, so they were trying to eat some rice balls to make themselves appear to be, and Ellie starts freaking out that it's all sticky and getting all over her hands.
It gets in her hair because she's just like, oh my, she's just waving her hands around like, it's stuck to me, now it's in my hair.
And they have to play off like, oh, they're foreigners,
Yeah, they're just not used to Japanese food yet. It's fine. Don't worry about it.
And she's bringing out all the things like, hey, do you have items to fight vampires? She pulls out, yeah, I have this sort of stake that, you jam into their heart. And I have this cross or crucifix. And they just seem to not really like that. And then it zooms up on Sophie and Ellie and their arms are crossed and they're scowling at it.
Yeah, I love the cross examination because she brings it out and the subtitles actually said
cross-examination.
what
are you gonna think of next over here?
I don't know. I'm full of the good bits. The subtitles actually say I have this cross because I've heard that when you pull it out, something's supposed to happen with vampires. And I was like, that is the most vague instruction to get with any tool ever. It's just
something happens when you use this.
Just you point it at the vampires and I don't know, something happens. And you know what? Something did happen. Ellie and Sophie scowled at it, and it was real good.
And then she catches Sophie in her room because Sophie's outside her coffin playing on her computer. And she's like,
watching anime.
Is that a coffin there? And Sophie tries to hide it by saying, no, and she opens it up and shows her body pillow. It's a special case.
It is a luxury body pillow case to keep it from getting dirty or wrinkled. And she's like,
oh, your way of life is so complex.
Yeah. The A plot was fairly forgettable and just kind of whatever. The B plot was real good for this one.
Yeah. And then at the next day, they send her home and she drops something and Sophie reaches to give it to her, but her hand goes out in the sunlight, revealing, oh, she's a vampire. But it's fine.
To ash in the sunlight.
It's fine. She realizes, oh, there are good vampires like her out there. So that's okay.
That's okay. And then she leaves. And then that's it.
Ba-dum-bump.
Everything is fine. Part of me wonders if she went to go hunt more vampires. Like, if she's still a vampire hunter.
I don't see her as being a very successful one.
No,
also,
me neither.
Vampires in this universe don't seem that malevolent, so...
They just seem like people with slightly different problems.
Yeah. And there is actually, I don't know if you watched past the credits, there's a secret C-plot.
Yes, at a spa.
Yeah, they go to a hot springs.
That made me a little uncomfortable, and it felt pretty strongly like a "we're the police" meme.
Yeah, where I was sitting there watching that going, oh man, Ian really doesn't like people walking in while he's watching this show. He's definitely not going to like it now.
Yeah, that was the one part of the episode that I was the most strongly like, you know what? I'm glad I decided to watch this episode alone.
Yeah, just anxiously turning your head towards the door like,
I hope no one walks in.
Constantly checking the time like, okay, 3 minutes left.
Basically, they go to a spa.
And Sophie's afraid of it the whole time because of the running water thing.
And she, again with like, I'm from an era where I was taught that bads are bad, and we're still not really sure what kind of era that is.
She's 360, so go backwards from that, and I don't think anyone in that time ever thought baths were bad.
No, I don't think that was ever a thing.
I don't think anyone ever thought baths were bad.
No.
Who has just sat there and go like, yeah, the way this town smells should stay that way. No one needs to change that.
We can't be changing that natural scent. That's God's scent. That's what he wants us to smell like. And there's a lot of tasteful foam. That's what I'll call it.
Yes, that is a good way to describe that.
And there is...
I'm glad they at least put it at the end so you had the option to bow out like, hey, the credits are playing. I can go home.
You know,
There's a lot in this life to see. I don't need to see it from behind a prison window.
Yeah, I don't need bars in my way. I'm happy doing this alone in my room. Which is the ultimate prison.
Yeah, I was going to say, that's the real prison.
The prison of contentment. Ooh, spooky.
Ooh.
Anyway.
Yeah, I think that's it for that show.
I still enjoy watching it, even though I don't like other people knowing that I watch it.
Yeah. It's only on the internet now, but good thing we only have 4 subscribers.
You don't know what I look like. You don't know my story. Unlike JoJo. JoJo understands me.
So, in this episode, Bucciarati finally becomes a capo.
Yep. They go and they get the gold, and then they meet the boss. Well, a boss.
They meet another capo.
I just realized, oh wait, they call the big boss the boss in
Yeah.
this episode. They meet another capo outside.
Yep, they give him all the money, and it turns out the money was hidden in a urinal.
Literally in a urinal, because, you know, Sticky Fingers does that. He just opens things with zippers.
And he, the other capo explains that now that Bucciarati's been taking on, he'll take on Pulpo's old turf, but he has to also take on his unfinished job.
Yep.
Which is to look after the boss's daughter.
Trish.
And she's never met the boss.
Nope.
No one knows who the boss is, and when he had her, he was using a fake name.
Yep, so now they need to watch over her and bring her dark soul to the light.
Yeah, they need to protect her because there is members of the organization that are trying to track her down because they want to find the boss. And all these people are also stand users.
Yep. And I actually kind of liked how Bruno himself sort of solves this mystery, because he's like, wait a minute. If this was under Pulpo's jurisdiction, that means those guys must be stand users? And the dude's like, yeah, that's why none of us can do anything about it.
Roses are red, the beach has sand. This must be the work of an enemy stand.
And it is.
And the youngest member of the group, Naranja, they send him to go out and do the grocery shopping, but he is confronted while he's out by another stand user who his power with his stand, I forget what its name was. I think it's Little Feet.
Yeah, it's something along those lines. I can't exactly remember.
Yeah, Little Feet, I think, and his stand makes him shrink.
Yep, makes him real small.
And I don't remember Narancha's stand's name, but his stand is a sort. It looks like a little RC plane.
Yeah.
And it shoots and drops actual bombs.
Yeah, it is a small RC plane that does actual plane things.
And he gets angry at this guy for cutting him, so he just starts blowing the shit out of him by shooting the car, dropping a bomb on him, and he thinks he killed them, but the guy turns himself small and jumps into Narancha's pocket.
Yep, and he's like, this freaking idiot is going to lead me back to their base, and I didn't even have to do anything besides show myself.
And then, to be continued.
Yes.
And that is mostly the whole episode. I think the only other thing to talk about is just Trish herself.
She's a shit.
Yeah, she is a huge bitch.
You know, for someone who is the well-cared-for daughter of a mafia boss, she's not a very good person.
Exactly.
Who would thunk it?
The second she steps out of the bathroom after she reveals who she is, she looks to Fugo. I think that's his name.
Yes, Fugo.
She looks to Fugo and goes, "Hey, take off your shirt." He's like, "Why?" She's like, "It's not like I want to see you shirtless. Just take off your shirt." And he's like, "Fine." And she uses his shirt to wipe her hands.
Yes.
And then gives it back to him.
And he is super pissed. It's kind of hilarious. But also like, man, Trish is kind of, she's shit.
Yeah, and then she tells them all that she basically doesn't give a fuck about any of them and to go get her a bunch of magazines and stuff that she wants.
Yep. And naturally they're like, we need someone who's real competent. Someone who we know can't mess this up in any possible way.
Narancha.
Let's send Narancha to do it. And he kind of almost doesn't. Also,
yeah, it's not really his fault that he gets found by the other guy, though, because he does everything that he's supposed to do.
Yeah.
It's just this guy was out specifically looking for them.
Exactly.
Because he actually figures it out by the magazines that he was buying for Trish. That he looks at them and he goes like, "Oh, why is he buying all these women's care products? Is it for his mom, his sister? No, wait. No women are picky about the things they like.
Yeah.
They wouldn't send a guy to do it unless they couldn't leave.
Yeah. It's fairly smart, but I would say still a little bit of a stretch.
Yeah.
But
That's everything in like JoJo logic. Everyone immediately jumps to one small detail, and they've got the whole mystery figured out.
Yep. I forget who it was. I think it's I don't remember who it is exactly, but someone is like, "Don't worry, guys. Narancha's stand is specifically made so he can't be followed."
I think that was Boo Charity.
Probably, but I don't get it because it's just a little plain.
Was it just because he could shoot the shit out of them, so even if he was followed, they would be dead?
The only thing I could possibly think of is like, oh, he can do aerial recon on himself so he can see that he's being followed.
I don't even know if he can do recon with it, though. That's the thing. I was thinking maybe if he was followed, he could just have the stand shoot at the enemy or just fly into him.
Yeah, because like that was the only thing I could possibly think of, and he doesn't do that. So like I don't get it.
Yeah.
It has to have some sort of other gimmick that we'll learn about soon. Hopefully it does.
We'll figure it out.
Yeah, it'll happen in the Little Feat battle, because as JoJo goes, we have a setup episode where we meet the enemy stand, and then we have a fight episode.
And I was just thinking, actually, this isn't the first stand that we've seen have shrink powers.
Correct.
Because we had one in part 3 that did that.
Yep.
Where they fought inside of Joseph's brain.
Yeah, that was a cool fight. Actually, I don't think that was a specific power, because I think the stand they were fighting itself is just small.
The stand was small. The guy didn't shrink.
And then they shrink their stands to go fight it.
Actually, yeah, the stand was small, and it just basically made anything that happens to him happen to the person his stand is inside.
Yeah. That was such a cool episode.
Yeah.
There's a lot of cool shit in part 3.
There's cool shit in part 5, too. This is a good part.
Yeah, even in this episode that was mostly plot, I still felt engaged by
I
it.
felt like, oh man, this boss guy is a pretty big deal.
Yeah, this dude, even when he first started, was using nicknames with his mistresses.
Even though I know who the boss is, because I know the spoilers for part 5.
Yeah, and to be honest, I'm not like too concerned about spoilers, because like the journey. It's all about the journey.
It's about the journey.
Because like you could say that there's a dance scene in one of the episodes of part 5, but unless you watch it yourself, you don't fully understand it.
Yeah, a lot about JoJo is the presentation.
Yeah.
You know what else has good presentation?
Yo.
Double Decker, Doug and Kirill.
Double Decker has really good presentation.
And this episode was also good because they're all good.
Yeah. It was a central theme of this one was Kirill looks like a woman.
And Kirill is actually not an idiot.
Yeah. Surprise twist.
Yep, biggest twist of the season. Kirill's not a dumbass.
Kirill is actually smart.
Yeah.
Turns out he wrote an essay about genetic engineering for a scholarship paper.
Yeah, so in the episode, this is right after the other one where Doug's in the hospital, and Kirill's kind of pissed because he can't return to work until Doug fills out his paperwork, but Doug sees this as a great opportunity to take a vacation and not work by not filling out his paperwork.
Yeah, because he's Doug, and Doug's kind of a lazy asshole.
And while Kirill's trying to chase him around, some teenage boy comes up to Kirill and offers him a bunch of money. He's like, "Hey, pretty lady, you want to come with me?"
Yeah, what'll it take to spend the night with me? And so good. I love that running gag. It's so good.
And after that, you find out this kid is basically running around. He does the same thing to Dina.
He's been doing it to everybody. Dina does not react well to this because, she's Dina. She is pink.
And you find out his dad is also a patient there like Doug, but he is dying.
Yep, he is one of the terminally ill patients that they have.
There's been a couple of people leaving the hospital who have been terminally ill patients that all of a sudden are all better, but it turns out they're all connected to Anthem.
An important note about these, I actually took a picture of it on my phone because I noticed this upon second viewing. Holy shit, someone who wrote this likes Ghostbusters. Because we've got, I think it is Green Girl Rookie, hands a dossier to the medical director as we are, they're basically interrogating him because they're like, hey, that's kind of suspicious that like 4 terminally ill patients leave your hospital and are then found dead of an Anthem overdose. That's a little suspicious. And
Yeah.
she hands him a dossier of Winston Hudson, Egon Ramis, Peter Murray, and Raymond Aykroyd. Which,
Oh, that's good. I didn't even notice that.
yeah, I will show you the picture on my mobile cellular device. The pictures of these dudes even look like the Ghostbusters. It is.
Oh, shit. That is the Ghostbusters.
It is just Ghostbusters.
I feel like you're one of the few people that actually caught on to that.
I mean,
It was such a quick thing.
it was, and I first noticed Raymond Aykroyd, but if I hadn't watched the episode again and caught Egon Ramis,
Oh, you watched it twice?
I did. I usually watch Double Decker twice because like it airs on Sundays, and usually I'll watch it on either a Tuesday or a Wednesday.
I just watch it later in the week now.
That's what I usually try to do, but like I really like this show, so I don't mind too much about watching a second episode or an episode twice. But I did catch that detail, and I was very excited about it.
And so we find out that the Anthem users are leaving the hospital, and Kirill, Dina, and Rookie all end up going to the doctor's office, like the head medical professor there.
They talk to the head doc.
And the girls are trying to talk to him, and he's asking, do you guys even know how, Anthem works?
Turns out Kirill does.
Yeah. Also, the fact that they didn't know, I think, is kind of an issue for detectives that specialize in it.
Yeah, if this is your specific department, you should know how this stuff works.
They're basically the drug control detectives for one specific drug, and they don't really know how it works.
Yeah. That would be like...
That'd be like, hey, I pulled you over because you got this cocaine in there. I know you inject that into your arm, and you get real sleepy.
I would go a step further, and I'd be like, I would say it's like having vice cops who don't know how a prostitute is hired, like how they don't like what. So you just kind of wander around and you're like, hey there, big fella, random fella.
Where's this vice cop from Chicago? Like I was doing a Chicago cop before, but
I don't know. It felt like a bit. Commit to the bit. Because this one cop, he just doesn't know. He's not good. He's dumber than Kirill. But turns out Kirill's real smart, so that's not very hard.
Yeah. I feel like we've strayed completely from what we were doing.
Probably.
I don't even remember what the thing was.
They were talking to the doctors.
Oh, yeah, and
Kirill proves he's not dumb.
Yeah, Kirill immediately pulls down one of the whiteboards and just starts drawing all over it like, maybe it was, Oh, and it affects the genetic exterior like this, and also if you go into overdrive, then that means these genes are affected by this, and they're all staring at him like slack-jawed.
Dina actually points a gun at him.
And goes like, who are you?
Who are you?
And it turns out he remembers all of this and looked into all of it because it does a flashback of him listening to Doug.
Yep. Well, he put the pieces together using what Doug told him, which is like, holy shit, because it's only 2 lines of dialogue.
And Dr. Apple talks about maybe he can help Kirill, and he sees Kirill has a research paper in front of him, and he's like, oh yeah, that's a pretty good paper. Yeah, I read that when I was in high school. And he's like,
yeah, I was 12 or 13 when it came out.
Yeah, it's pretty good. And he's like, oh, thanks. And you can see written by Kirill, I forget Kirill's last name.
Kirill Vrubel.
Yeah, written by Kirill Vrubel.
Because basically, the doctor is like, wow, that's actually super amazing. I was thinking about using Anthem for medicinal purposes. Could you put me in touch with the military?
And as soon as he said that, I was like, oh, this guy's actually trying to use Anthem to...
Exactly. That was my first reaction was, oh, he's the bad guy.
And it turns out he actually is giving the patients Anthem, and one of the patients escapes, and Doug and Kirill kind of catch him, and he gets away, and then they catch him again, and they ask, he's like, what's happening to me?
They're in the hospital because Kirill once again is approached by Boss, who's like, hey, basically they go back and they're criticizing Kirill because they're like, are you sure he's not on like some crazy drugs or anything? And Boss was watching a robot have maintenance done, and apparently it was so sexy he spilled his coffee on himself.
Yeah, and Kirill's still trying to cover for the fact that she's a robot, even though everyone knows.
Yep, and I love that running bit. And in a moment of passive deflection, or not passive, very aggravated deflection, Boss turns to Kirill and is like, how are those reports coming? So Kirill immediately goes to the hospital.
Yeah, and he goes there, and that guy comes back, and they ask him to bring him the person who gave him the Anthem.
Yep.
And it turns out it was the main doctor, and he's trying to push Anthem on Gus's father.
Yes, because that's what he does. That's his thing.
Yeah, he pushes drugs on the terminally ill.
Yeah, like a real hero.
Yeah. Like the American healthcare system.
Like the fucking hero of the people he is.
And they realize this, so they go to stop him, and they try to convince the dad to take the drugs.
Yes.
And it's a really sad scene because they're like, don't you want to be with your son?
Yeah.
And he's like crying. He's like, I do.
I do.
But then he smashes the Anthem, and he's like, but I'm not going to be a monster.
Yeah, I don't want my son to remember me being a monster. And Doug also pulls aside a curtain, and he's like, they were having patients purposefully overdose on Anthem and then giving them different combinations of the 5 drugs to see which one cures an Anthem overdose.
Yeah, because this guy turns out really shitty.
Esperanza. Because they have their hands in a great many pies.
And they caught the guy, and then at the end of the episode, Gus ends up taking... he gets Kirill to wear a dress and play as his bride for a day.
He hosts a fake wedding because he's like, I know, Dad, you've always wanted to see me get married, so I had everyone help me. And you see him walk in with a bride, and I could immediately tell from like what little hair I could see. I was like, yo, that's Kirill, isn't it?
And I like how Kirill's sister said to him, wow, Kirill, you look beautiful. And he's like, I know. Yeah,
he lifts up the veil, and in like the manliest voice I've ever heard Kirill do, he says, I know. And then, he owns that makeup.
Yeah.
He certainly owns it. And then it's just a touching moment between father and son as the episode winds to a close.
And that's the end.
Cue Buntline special.
No, the end is... Kirill gets approached by the military officer, dude.
Oh, that's right.
And he asks Kirill, how would you like to join the military?
Do you want to join the military?
Son?
Double gun smoke, full automatic barbecue brisket military.
M16 tank battleship America cheeseburger.
Yeah, cut that audio, show it to Addison. I'm sure he'd love it. Our Marine friend.
Yeah.
Triple barbecue smoked fully semi-automatic 40 millimeter brisket.
But we should move on.
Yes, cue Buntline special, then it's over.
And last show to talk about, Iriduku, The World in Color.
Is a high school drama.
I finally remember everyone's name besides the odd couple. So in this episode, Sho, the club president, takes Hitomi, and they go on sort of an excursion, just the two of them, to go take photos for the club.
It's kind of like one of those things you do in high school where it's like, I like this girl, I want to ask her out on a date. but I'm too nervous to do that, so I ask her to hang out with me.
Yeah, because we got to do this thing anyway, so I'll use that as an excuse for just the two of us.
Yeah.
He tells though, because
Yeah.
I feel like he kind of has an idea.
He totally knows that I likes Hitomi, but he doesn't say anything, and I is just kind of like plays it off like, well, why are you asking me? And he's like, I don't know, just a feeling.
And they go on their photo day thing. They have fun. And then at the end, he tells Hitomi that he likes her and wants her to go out with him. And then she runs away because she doesn't know how to give him an answer.
She doesn't know how to handle human emotions, so she runs away a lot.
Yeah, she just runs away.
She does a lot of... At least it's not raining this time.
Yeah. And she goes back home, and she kind of tries to talk it out with Kohaku, and Kohaku basically says, hey, I feel like not getting an answer is worse than a rejection.
Yeah, because it is.
Yeah.
It's super...
Imagine that you're just like, hey, I like you, and she just runs away. Full speed sprints off.
That would be...
that would be worse than just, I'm not interested.
Yeah, I would rather have that other than, oh, she is running in terror from me.
I am that despicable.
I am a terrible human being.
I am that undesirable that it has caused fear. The flight or fight mode is kicked in.
She has fled from me in terror as if I was some sort of monstrosity.
And so they're all awkward, and she doesn't know how to approach him for the next few days. And so then she goes to talk to Asagi, which I remember...
The girl who likes him.
I finally remembered her name because I realized, an easy way I can remember it is she likes taking pictures of rabbits. That's her favorite thing.
Yes.
The word for rabbits is usagi. Her name is Asagi.
I wonder if that is on purpose.
Probably on purpose.
On purpose.
So she talks to Asagi and she tells him, like, hey, have you ever liked somebody?
And this conversation can only go in one direction, and it goes in that direction.
And she finally goes and confronts Sho, and she says that she's sorry that she didn't give him an answer, and that she can't reciprocate his feelings because she likes someone else.
Yep.
And he understands, and then they shake hands, and all is well. Well, also, he has to scream on the roof after.
So I like this scene a lot. Because main man I comes up and he's like, hey, what are you doing just kind of laying on the roof? And Sho is like, got rejected. Which he gets rejected and then he's like, yeah, I kind of figured you running away from me was a rejection.
Yeah.
And we hear...
And I even says, like, you're pretty something, just go out, ask a girl out, and just take it like that, the rejection.
Sho takes it like a man. And we hear the brass wind instrument club or whatever playing.
And it's awful.
They are god awful. Like, I have heard elementary school bands that have sounded more coherent than this.
And he just shouts over them.
Yes.
He just starts screaming on the roof until he feels better.
Yeah, and everyone kind of pauses for a second and then goes on with the rest of their life. Because that's just a thing that happens, I guess. People just go up to the roof to scream.
Also, he screams in a way that makes it sound like, hey, someone should go check up there. Is he okay? Because it's not just like it's like,
Yeah, it sounds like he's being murdered.
Yeah, like he's under attack.
I fully expected that scene to end with someone just like kicking the door open and being like, oh my god, what's going on up here? And then they're like, nah, it's fine. He just got dumped. He got rejected. Oh.
And then Hitomi goes downstairs and she sees Asagi and she's like, hey. And then Asagi's like, hey, I liked Sho. And then she just runs away.
And I on my couch was like, oh, no shit.
Now she's running away. People need to learn to discuss their feelings.
There's a lot of, like, talking around things in this episode and running away from people in this episode.
Yeah.
Because Sho and I just kind of talk around the fact that they both like Hitomi.
I've seen so much high school drama anime, though, that I'm used to the fact that anytime there's an emotional conflict, people will run away from each other. That's just the way. Oh, man, we need to drag this out for a couple of episodes. We can't have them talk about it. Just run and avoid each other completely.
They could easily talk out this problem. Guess they gotta just sprint away.
Well, it fits with the theme song where everyone's running.
Yeah, there's a lot of running in these themes this week.
I thought we weren't picking up the boys who run anime.
Me too, but I guess it hides. We can't fully escape boys who run.
We can't escape boys who run.
Kimimasen, kimimasen.
Kimimasen, kimimasen.
I don't like that intro.
No.
It's not good.
Well, I can remember it at least more than Iraduku's intro.
The only thing I remember from this intro is
yeah. That's it.
Oh, that's probably gonna sound great in the audio.
Yeah.
Oh, look at that waveform, so big.
So big. But yeah, that was the episode for this week. So we're finally done with the Hitomi show thing, and then next week, they gotta resolve Hitomi and Asagi.
Yeah, which will probably happen fairly quickly, where they just kind of meet up somewhere and talk about their issues again, and then it's fine.
Yeah, I liked show. Yeah, I didn't.
Don't.
Yeah, I don't. Go for it.
Yeah, have fun.
I told them I don't.
They were talking about it, and it's pretty obvious that they were both talking about show, and it was also pretty obvious that Hitomi did not like show in that conversation.
No, in the conversation earlier, I think she was trying to talk about because she didn't say that. What do you do if you don't like? She said, "Have you ever had someone tell you they like you? And what do you do if you like somebody?"
Most likely.
Yeah,
I could easily see that.
She used poor wording about it, so basically,
that at least makes sense.
Asagi, I think, got the wrong idea, and she thinks Hitomi likes show.
Yeah. But she doesn't, so
yeah,
they'll...
it should be an easy fix.
Yeah, just like, hey, I don't actually like show, so have fun. GG, you win.
Yeah,
no
you
raid.
win. Ooh, there you go. You won. You won the guy who's not even the main guy.
Ooh, you won your fucking big prize. He's leaving. He's leaving at the end of this year.
He's going to college. Ooh.
Have fun for like 2 weeks with your boyfriend before he leaves.
Yeah.
I like passive-aggressive Hitomi.
Yeah, that's not a thing, but we made that up. Yeah.
So, a good...
I just want a passive-aggressive main character in anime where they're just about everything. It's like, oh, okay, ooh, I guess you killed my best friend now. Ooh, I guess I gotta come after you. Ooh.
I want it...
Guess you're a big scary villain. Ooh, you get all the power-ups. Ooh.
That could actually make for kind of a funny isekai, where it's just some nerd who, goes into a super tropey fantasy world, and he's like, oh, and now you're the big bad guy. And then
you're the Demon King. Ooh, yeah, because everyone's got to have a Demon King. Ooh, yeah.
Why is he always a king? Why can't he be like a duke or a count? Huh?
Yeah.
Oh, now he's going to tell me
why can't be a Demon
plan.
Emperor? Ooh, come on, it's always got to be the king.
Oh, let me guess. You're the powerful swordsman. You're here to save me at the last minute.
Oh, I gotta be the chosen one. You gotta be my mentor. Ooh, you're gonna give me your fancy sword. Ooh, crazy.
Oh, I'm excited about your stupid prophecies. Whatever. Ooh, it's always
just give me my magic one-hit kill sword. Ooh, I'm a main character. Where's my harem? Whatever. Well, let's see what your shtick is. Oh, you have twin tails, and you just hit me after I say anything. Ooh. I haven't seen that character archetype before. That's a totally new one.
Oh, I like this. We have written the next anime for the season. It'll be a big hit. Everyone will love it.
We've made the next one.
We have made it. That is our idea. Copyright the Protagonist seat.
In another world, but ooh, who cares?
In another world, but who gives a shit?
Yeah, but who gives a shit?
I like this. But I'm excited as usual for next week. I'm very happy that we have a good selection of shows.
Yeah, and we're winding down to about the last month of it now.
Yeah, we're almost done. I'm gonna be real sad to see it go.
Yeah, we made some fun memories with all of our friends. We had some fun times.
I'm gonna miss Saki. I'm gonna miss her.
I'm gonna miss Saki too. At least some people aren't leaving. We're gonna have JoJo, still with us.
Giorno and the gang are gonna be hanging out.
It's weird because, that show's obviously going to be much longer. The pacing in all of these shows, I feel like so much has happened with Sakuta, Hitomi, Sakura, and then I feel like JoJo, they're still getting off the ground.
Yeah, well, they've got the time for it. They
Yeah.
can afford to spend the time doing stuff.
And then Goblin Slayer's in a weird spot where I feel like Goblin Slayer's pacing's a little weird at points. Where I feel like sometimes a lot of things have happened, and then when you really look at it, not a lot has happened.
Yeah. I don't know where the show is going. Like, because normally it seems like there's a big bad or some kind of end goal, but I really don't get that sense with Goblin Slayer. It just kind of feels like it is at the moment.
They seem to be building towards that someone's controlling them, but I think it would be nice to have a villain character sort of drive things, since the goblins themselves are not really engaging villains.
At least if we could have a real villain actually show up for a little bit and be like, hey, I'm the concrete real bad guy. I'm going to be fighting you. I look forward to thwarting your future quests.
Yeah, it's a show that I want to like it more than I do.
Me too. There's been a couple of that this season for me as well.
Yeah, I didn't really care I didn't want to like Hinamaru, Sumo, or Ulysses that much.
I definitely didn't want to like Ulysses. I could not want to like Ulysses.
That was one of those things where the first episode was surprisingly better than I expected, and then the rest of it was what I expected.
Yes. It was like, we have reeled you in.
I forgot how far we even made it in that. Do we make it at least a 4?
I think we made it to 3 before being like, you know what? I can't with this. Because,
I don't want. I'm not planning on dropping Goblin Slayer because
no, it's pretty late to do.
Yeah,
that.
I'm at the point where let's just finish it. But I do see the people saying that the light novel is better. I could see that being the case.
Yeah,
I feel like the strongest part of this series is probably getting into the characters, which a novel would easily do much better than a 13-episode show.
I do like the characters bumming around. I think that's kind of fun.
Yeah. And yeah, I think that's everything this week.
That is. It is that time of the week where we must bid you adieu.
Farewell, mon amis.
Feel free to like and subscribe to our channel.
Or maybe you would want to follow us on Twitter. Handle is @Protagonist.
We look forward to you saying hello.
Bonjour.
Bonjour, mon ami. And adieu, mon amis.
Yeah. Adieu to you and you. So long, farewell,
auf
Wiedersehen,
Wiedersehen, adieu. I do that every time. I always mix up that last one.
Fuck! Goodbye.
See ya.